Hello and welcome to the International Daily Roundup with People's Dispatch, where we bring you some of the top stories of the day. For our first story today, we go to Bolivia. On the night of November 11th, the ousted Bolivian President Evo Morales departed from Mexico, facing threats to his life due to the escalation of violence and intimidation by the opposition. Earlier during the day, the Mexican government granted Morales political asylum for humanitarian reasons, given the risk to his life and freedom in the country after the right-wing coup perpetrated against his government on November 10th. Morales said in a tweet, "Sisters and brothers, I am leaving from Mexico grateful to the generosity of the government of this brother nation that gave us asylum to protect our lives. It hurts me to leave the country for political reasons, but I will always keep an eye on what happens in the country. I will soon come back stronger and more energetic." Morales and his vice president, Alvaro Garcia Linera, were forced to resign on November 10th after the army backed a right-wing opposition coup against the government of the Movement Towards Socialism party. Protests against Morales began the day after the general elections on October 20th. The final results showed that he had obtained over 10% more votes than his closest rival Carlos Mesa, which was necessary for the victory. However, the opposition refused to accept the results and began violent mobilizations demanding his resignations. The violence has not stopped with the resignations, which was a central demand of the opposition following their allegations of fraud in the elections. Coup supporters continue to threaten, intimidate and incite violence against members of the MAS and their families. On Sunday, right-wing opposition forces burned the Viphala flag, which represents the indigenous people of the Andes and became an official symbol of the plurinational state of Bolivia in 2008. Social movements, politicians, political parties and academics from across the globe have sharply condemned the civic-military coup carried out against Morales' government. This includes former Brazilian President Lula da Silva, UK's Labour Party leader Jeremy Corbyn, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, Mexican President Andrés López, and Argentine President-elect Alberto Fernandez. Protests in solidarity with the Bolivian people and with Evo Morales have been carried out in Argentina as well as in other Latin American countries. For our next story, we go to Hong Kong. In a new bout of violence, anti-government protesters set ablaze a 57-year-old man who confronted them. According to the police report, the man had followed the protesters after he witnessed them vandalizing and thrashing a metro station. He confronted the protesters at a footbridge near the station and argued with them over the protests, with each verbally abusing the other over their presumed ethnicity. In the video that went viral over different social media platforms, the masked protesters were seen pouring flammable liquid on the man and setting him on fire before fleeing the scene. The police has filed a case of attempted murder and are yet to find the perpetrators, while the man suffered severe burns and is still in a critical condition. The protests that began over the now withdrawn extradition bill have been on since at least March. After a point, however, a section of the younger lot among the protesters have resorted to increasingly violent and destructive means. Beginning with the violent storming of the city-state's legislature building and hoisting the colonial flag, anti-government protesters have confronted the police and pro-government Hong Kongers with violent and destructive methods. In a similarly violent incident in August, protesters who were occupying the city's airport held a mainland Chinese journalist covering the occupation hostage for hours over unfounded rumors that he was a police spy. While violence has been perpetrated from all sides, including pro-government protesters, the police reaction has been restrained. It is yet to be seen how the government or the police will react over yesterday's incident. Finally, in Brasilia, the Peoples BRICS summit took place on November 11th and 12th, 2 days before the BRICS summit, which is scheduled for November 13th and 14th. People's movements, labor unions and political parties from the 5 countries that are members of the BRICS, that is Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, gathered in the capital city of Brazil. In our ground report, some of the participants are talking about the importance of conducting a People's BRICS. Let's take a look.
I am here today along with other comrades from Abahlali and comrades from NUMSA, SRWP and many delegates from South Africa to be part of a history making in the world of today, where as the people of the world we want to create an alternative space to imperialism, to capitalism. So this is people's space to make sure that we build the world that we want, a world of equality, a world where justice, equality, respect and dignity becomes the order of the day.
One of the biggest problems is that popular movements are very atomized they are very split, and there is no common strategy among them. In Russia, we know and we see how difficult is struggle without solidarity. So we decided to come here in order to share our experience and get new experience from other countries, from popular movements of countries of all the world.
In the BRICS matter, our biggest challenge is the government. Our current government doesn't really believe in a South-South cooperation agenda and coordination. So the BRICS has been weakened with this current government. That's the biggest challenge. I think that India is in a very similar situation as Brazil. I think the conversation between the two countries is very important to overcome these difficulties and the challenges that we are facing inside our own countries and in the external politics.
This event is very important because it's held at the same place and almost at the same days as so-called official governmental BRICS. So this event is like light for people. Light because it, I hope, it will give us some alternative.
We believe that a new world is necessary and a new world is possible.
This is all we have for this episode of the International Daily Roundup. For more such stories and videos, visit our website peoplesdispatch.org, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Thank you for watching.